how we might go about migrating an existing app to the new Experience Builder. I have to give credit to Esri here because this is actually a demonstration that I saw at the conference, something similar to this, and I felt like it really lent itself well to our local community because we have so many cities and counties and private entities who are using Web App Builder to build applications. So the new generation of Web App Builder is called Experience Builder, and it basically leverages all of the new JavaScript functionality that exists in the new JavaScript API. And so you're seeing that also with ArcGIS Pro 3.0 and the new server portal environment, Enterprise, ArcGIS Enterprise. So they're really migrating to the newer technologies to basically provide better functionality on new mobile devices and computers going forward. So that's sort of a quick synopsis of why we all should be looking to migrate our existing applications over to the new environment. So Web App Builder is being used by many people now, including the city of Shasta Lake. So our main map viewer is using Web App Builder. City of Redding is using it. Shasta County, Medford has a great interactive map that is using Web App Builder. Siskiyou County. And that's just to name a few. I just grabbed a few folks that are using Web App Builder currently, just to kind of show how we're all in kind of the same boat of eventually needing to move over to Web App Builder or to Experience Builder. And so Web App Builder's been around for a long time. It's actually been 10 years, which is kind of crazy to think about. They have over 70 plus widgets built for Web App Builder. Those are just basically your kind of custom tools that are available to yourself, and a very strong user community. So I think when you look at City of Redding, City of Shasta Lake, folks that are using it now, the limitation has really been that some of the widgets hadn't been developed yet. And so you really couldn't migrate some of your maps because it just didn't exist. But that's no longer becoming the case. They've built many of these apps into Web App Builder, into Experience Builder. And they've really brought it a long way, and they continue to develop in that environment. So limitations of Web App Builder, it doesn't really have any custom mobile experience, so it will respond and be responsive to a mobile environment, but you can't customize it, you can't modify the layout, so you're kind of bound to the template that you're provided by Esri, and that's what kind of goes away with Experience Builder. So just some highlights of Experience Builder. It's really customizable. And so I like Jason's comment earlier when he was talking about instant apps. I think I see where Esri's going with this, and that, we all work in GIS and we do these things 8 hours a day. And sometimes you get a request that somebody wants something and you kind of need to do something fast. The reality is these things take time. And if you want to get an app built by the end of the week for somebody, you may not have time to do that with Experience Builder. It really is time consuming. So the reality is it just takes a long time to build apps in Experience Builder, and instant apps provide a great interface to build a quick app. They have a ton of app templates with Experience Builder, so you're going to find, and I'll show this here shortly, there's just a ton to piggyback on in terms of what's out there now for Experience Builder. And I'll come back to that. That's mobile optimization. Why don't we just go ahead and jump into looking at Experience Builder. So now you should be seeing our homepage of our GIS maps page. And so this is the page that everybody sees for the city of Shasta Lake. And I know other folks are using these. So this is our map viewer. It's built in Web App Builder. And pretty standard interface. You hit the splash screen, kind of acknowledge the map's only a representation. And you get your basic interface. So you get your map tools and your search functionality and all the things that you kind of come to expect in a typical sort of local government, county, city, whoever it may be, parcel viewer, right? So what I'm going to show today is sort of changing this over to a new Experience Builder app and kind of building out the same functionality. So I'll kind of walk you through the back end of this and how to create this, but just to kind of give you a real simple functionality demonstration. I mean, you can search by addresses, it zooms to the property, you get this kind of robust pop-up where you can hit hyperlinks and other assessor information from the county. And pretty basic, pretty straightforward. You have, a layer list that allows you to interact with different layers that come from your web map and turn on things like zoning and things of that nature. So pretty straightforward. So I'm going to take you to the back end of this and show how we're going to migrate this over to Experience Builder. So let me go here. So this is that same app that you just saw in edit mode in Web App Builder. And so for those that might not be so familiar with Web App Builder, it's a pretty simple interface. You can kind of pick the web map that you're using. You can, add widgets and change the theme colors, that kind of thing. So you have some basic tools to change the look and feel of your app and to add functionality. And so I'll kind of be bouncing between this one and Experience Builder in between as I go through my demo. So it all starts with a web map. And so if I go to my organization here, if I go to my organization's content, and let me just move this. If I narrow this down to web maps and my organization, you'll see the public map viewer is the web map that drives that web app that I showed, the Web App Builder app. So if I open this guy, I'll just go through that demonstration. I have it open here, but I'll just kind of take you from the beginning. And I can open this in the new map viewer. So again, a lot of this functionality that you see on the Web App Builder app is built into the web map, really. I mean, if you click on parcels, the entire pop-up is driven from the web map, right? All these hyperlinks and things are things that are built into the web map and already exist. And so I can take this now and I can just use this app, create app tool button on the sidebar to launch Experience Builder. And Experience Builder launches with this robust sort of set of templates available to you. And you can see that one of those subsets is Web App Builder Classic. And so if you narrow it down to Web App Builder Classic, you get the same themes, the templates that you saw in here, right? So under themes, you kind of have this foldable theme, Launchpad, so on. I'll just kind of close this actually. So, so from Experience Builder, you can just kind of start off by matching the theme that you have existing. And so I happen to have the foldable theme. I'll go ahead and just create an Experience Builder app from the foldable theme. And so it starts you off with this splash screen, which matches to the splash screen that we have currently. The interface for Web App Builder is a little bit difficult to digest maybe in the beginning. It's a lot going on. There's a lot of customization. And so it can be a little overwhelming. The key I found is to kind of initially understand that things are designed as pages, and then you can have pop-up windows and things that occur also. And so that pop-up window, you can't actually close that right now. You're kind of going, well, why is this in my face? If I'm new to this web app, Experience Builder, you're kind of wondering, what do I do next? And so it's just kind of key to start to understand this this kind of widget container here on the left side, and that your map is your map page, because you can build in other content. It doesn't have to be map centric. The beauty of Experience Builder is it can be non-map centric or it can be map centric, and so you can build all that content out. And so if I go to this window, that's how I edit my splash screen. And so just to kind of give you a quick overview, I'll go back to my page. And the sidebar here kind of shows you where you can add widgets and add content. You can change the theme of your map. So that was very similar to the Web App Builder theme changing. You can change the color scheme. and it kind of gives you a standard color scheme across the entire app. You can add utility services and things for some advanced features. You can link data sources. So of course, because I launched from my web map, it already has my data source as my public map viewer web map. And then notice I'm unable to insert widgets, and that's because my layout's locked. So this is really key to getting started in Experience Builder, is understanding that you have to unlock your layout to really start working with things. And that you also might want to lock that once you nail, kind of an interface down so that you don't break or change that. And so I'm going to unlock this layout, and you'll notice then this plus sign becomes available on the sidebar, and it allows you to insert all of these different widgets and page elements, menu bars. And so it's again really robust in its ability to build things, but also very time consuming. So I'm just going to kind of walk through building out a similar interface to the Web App Builder app that we have on the public side. And so I'll go there, and the first thing we saw when we opened my map, go there, was the splash screen. So this is the old splash screen widget in Web App Builder, and this is the content that I had in my splash screen. And so I'm just going to take that and go back to Experience Builder, get these Zoom things out of my way. Go back to my page here, to my window, go to this splash screen window, and actually I can just start editing that. So I'm just going to paste in what I already had in my Web App Builder app. I can add an image here. So when you're interacting with the content of a page or a window, on the left side is your content pane, and that allows you to make changes and things. So I could set a link to this image. I can put tooltips in, so when you hover over, you see a tooltip, or I can just select an image and upload that from a local image I have on file. And so I'll just, for the sake of demonstration, I'll put our logo in there. Go with, and then you can, see, and then they have an undo button, which is really nice. So I'll put the logo in there. That just kind of gives you a little demonstration. You can put anything in there. You can make a little graphic for your parcel viewer, something of that nature. And really, my splash screen is done. So with that, I can go back to my page and save my app. So your save tools are up at the top. You have your undo, your save. You can preview it before you publish, and then you can also just publish. So that's really handy if you have an existing published app and you're making changes you want to preview before you actually push them out to become what's viewable by the public. And so I'll save my changes here, and now my splash screen is pretty much done. Go back to my page, and I can just start editing things to make them match the Web App Builder app. So I think I called our parcel viewer map viewer. I guess Shasta Lake map viewer, right? So we'll just match that. So I can change text here, and you can see it's just editing text. You can size this, and so I'll get into screen sizing later, but for now, I'll just kind of quickly match match what we have on the public side here. This text is a little big, so I can go in and edit that text. Again, my contents pane over here on the right side allows me to change things like the text size. And so it's really pretty straightforward to kind of match this to what you already have out there. I can put a logo into the header here, so I'll just upload another one. I think I have one here without a background. Let's see, I'll go with enhanced. And you can size these. So if I want that size to be a little bigger, I can just drag that. And so that's what's really nice about Experience Builder, is you really have a lot more control of where things are placed. These are things that you really had limited control in Web App Builder. Experience Builder allows you to make those changes. And you can set things like the alignment of these. So if you want it to stay vertical center, if you want it to stay full height, full width, that's not probably not good, but you can arrange those things. So create kind of a good look and feel, save often. And then on the right side here is what they call a widget controller. And so this is where you insert widgets into your map. It already has a map layers and a legend by default. You can see the widget controller down here in the body of your page outline. And these text elements are the different text elements and images that I was working with in the header. So if you really wanted to dial in your map for future use, you could even put these in as, you know, header, logo, image, and you know, header text, those kind of things, so that you kind of understood what, you know, what pieces of information these are. But here's my widget controller. And so if I didn't have that there, I could literally just go over to this plus sign and find the widget controller here under menus and toolbars, and I could drag that to my map. And so I can put that anywhere I want. It doesn't have to be up on the header. It could be floating here, and then I can configure widgets for that. So again, really flexible, but also comes with a little extra time. So I'll work with the widget controller that they already had in my page, and I can just start configuring these widgets. So you can see the map layers is already configured against my web map, and it's showing the map layers that are available in my web map, but it doesn't have some of the functionality that exists in my web map. So if I cancel out of here, I can kind of show the existing layer list that exists in Web App Builder. Has the ability to check on and off layers and interact with those, show some transparency, that kind of thing. So I can do the same thing with the map layers widget in Experience Builder. I can toggle visibility, so now users can turn on and off layers. I can allow them to toggle transparency, so you can make layers more transparent. But something that I thought was really cool about Experience Builder is we all know that you can now create labels in Map Viewer. Well, you can turn your legend so that it allows a user to toggle labels on and off. So you might have a web map configured to show labels, and a user can turn those off as part of their interaction with the map using this button. So if I go to live view, kind of show that. If I turn on California important farmland, you can see that I have it labeled with the different categories of farmland. But if I didn't want those labels to show as a user, I can turn those on and off. So that's advanced functionality that's available in Experience Builder that you don't get in Web App Builder. And it's just one example of many things that are coming to Experience Builder that you just can't do in Web App Builder. So moving on with configuration, I'll switch off live view here and continue to configure these widgets. The legend widget, again, you do everything kind of from this content page. It's connected to my map, so that one's already been configured. There's nothing I have set to show in my legend right now, but if I go to live view and I turn that back on and I zoom in, you can see as soon as parcel boundaries come in, it's dynamic. When you turn layers on, they'll show up in the legend depending on what you have visible. So that's already been configured for me. And I can continue to add additional widgets to match what I have in the Web App Builder app. So I'm going to go look at my app here and just kind of go down the list. So I've already got a layer list. I've got it configured to match. You can turn things on and off. You can deal with transparency. I've got a legend. So same kind of thing, no legend, but when you turn things on, it shows. So I've got that matched in Experience Builder. Draw tool, pretty straightforward. You can go over to Experience Builder, hit the plus sign, go up to your widgets. They do have a draw widget. So you just find the draw widget and you drag it to your toolbar, your widget controller, and you can drag these around. So if you want them in the same order as you have on an existing app, that's not hard to do. As you add widgets, you might need to expand the widget controller in its space, but then you can just point your new widget to the map, because you might have multiple maps. Now it has the ability to toggle different web maps for 3D integration. And and you can just configure it against your map, and then your draw tools become available. And you have a couple different configuration options. You can show it as a toolbar or as a panel. And so they're continuing to add some of these different pieces to the Experience Builder interface. But that's good enough for me. I'll show that draw tool later. And just go down the line. So measure tool and base map tools are the other tools I have here in my map viewer. And they don't have those as actual widgets for the widget controller yet, but they do have them as page elements that you can add. So if I go to my page window and I go and click on my map, so this is my actual map frame. They got automatically added to the app when I launched it from my web map. But if I go to that map in my interface, I have different tools, navigation tools that I can add. And so these are the tools that you see, your zoom tool, your home button, and they have a base map tool as well as a measurement tool as part of that interface. So it's not a full-blown widget, but if I do this in live view, I can click the measure tool, I get some basic measure capabilities. And it's a pretty nice interface. You can draw a line, you can change its, units of measurement, and you can continue adding new measurements and so on. So pretty straightforward. And then your base map gallery inherits the base maps that you have from your organization, same as Web App Builder. So you can switch base maps in the same way you did in Web App Builder. And feel free, if there's any questions so far, feel free to stop me. But if not, I'll continue on. So the next thing that we have in our Web App Builder app is we have print and share. So pretty straightforward. I'll go back to my panel here and my widget controller, take it off live view so that I can edit that, and then go back to my widgets and add the print widget. And then I believe the share is here. Yep. So notice I got a little too wide. The controller is not wide enough for all the widgets. So stretch that out. My share becomes available. And then I can configure these things. So print widget, pretty straightforward. Configure it against your map. You can select utility. It has this print utility by default for a print task. You can publish these actually as geoprocessing tools to your organization and create custom layout directly from ArcGIS Pro. And you can change some basic settings on this. So all that, thanks. I'll let that cook a little bit and I'll save my map and continue on.
Devon, what's the reason why you'd want to lock your layout again?
So locking the layout for me is like, if I accidentally grab this header and do that, oops, I didn't want to do that. Of course, I can go back, but sometimes if you get this kind of dialed, like right now, I'm pretty close to finished with this view. I might want to lock that just so I don't inadvertently come in here and accidentally move a text element or something like that. So it's just to keep the template now locked in place. I can't move anything.
Gotcha.
So I could edit things, change text, but I just couldn't move things so that I don't screw something up too bad.
Yep.
So that, so now my print widget is working. If I go back to that print widget and configure it, you can see I've got these kind of standard map templates. I can change these around. So these are what appear in this drop down. If I go into live view here and I show the print widget, of course, it has a title, but the default templates for your map templates are in this list. So, most folks might want to portrait map at 8.5, letter 8.5 by 11 size. So that's a pretty common size. So I might want that to be first. And so then I can go back out of live view and I can drag and drop these things. So I can say, maybe I want map only to be my first template. My second is to be an 8.5 by 11 portrait size. And maybe my next is landscape size and so on. And then I can remove some of these if I go through these and maybe I don't want all these options for my users. I can take those out. The other big thing that I think is important to change with the print widget is the print quality. So it defaults to 96 DPI, which, as we all know, is really poor quality, but also saves in space, space on a computer. So that's the reason that they probably default to 96 DPI. But if you want a map to look good, you probably want 300 DPI, somewhere around there. So I'll change that, and that's, that's kind of the basics of what you might want to change here. Of course, you can do more with that, but I'll save that. I'm pretty happy with that. And then the share widget is default. It allows you to share to the different social media platforms, allows you to create a link to the map and shorten that if you want to. So pretty standard share widget, but also helpful. You can turn on and off what social medias you want to include. So that I've basically kind of matched to what I have on my public site here, except for this search. So I have this search bar that I need to duplicate. And you'll notice when I go back to my map here, it has a default search that is the default search box. And that's this tool here. Let me go to live view. It's not real robust. It's configured against a geocoder. And so you can search addresses and you can, find locations, but it doesn't have any real configurability. So best way to make it match Web App Builder is to just turn that search function off. And then they do actually have a search widget that you can plug in. And so I'll grab that search widget. You can put it wherever you want, but I'll kind of put it similar to what I have in Web App Builder so that I stay with the idea of matching what we have today. And if I go to that, I can configure that search to either search against a layer. So in our case, we're searching against our parcel layer, and we have addresses and APNs that you can search against, or you can search that against a locator. So I'll search the layer. I'll select the data that I want to search. So I have my public map viewer here in the contents pane and as my data source. And I'll go down to my parcel boundaries as the layer that I want to allow folks to search. Pretty standard configuration here. I want to search against physical address. So if I wanted to search against different fields, I could just drop this down and uncheck physical address. And maybe I want to allow folks to search by APN. Oh, it's here. So, do I have this locked? I forget. I'm not sure why that's not letting. Oh, you have to have one selected, so I'll turn that off and this back, this off and that on. So if I wanted to allow folks to search by APN, I just go in there, select that as my search field, turn off physical address, and then, sorry, it keeps closing out of there. I click in the wrong place. And then the display field, so that's the search field. So it's going to search against the field that I selected there. In this case, the assessor parcel number. If I want it to display the assessor parcel number, then I can select that in the display field and turn off an address. And then now if I do a live view on this, I should be able to start typing an APN and it will display a list of APNs, and then I can search for it. So notice I have that configured to search, but I don't have it configured to do any actions or like zooming. So, which is what, if you go to our app, is what our app does. So now that I've configured my search, I can go over to the contents pane under actions, and I can add a trigger, and I can say when the record selection changes in the map, zoom to it. And maybe I want to do, I can change the scale of the zoom. So of course I can let it pick it automatically, or I can add additional actions and say, oh, maybe I want you to flash that record as well. And so now when I save this, sorry, it's a little slow, go back to a live view, search an APN, find it, it'll actually zoom to that parcel and highlight it and flash it. Gave a little flash there. But you can play with those. You can add other actions and change things like the display and such. So and then you can click on those. You get the pop-up the same way you did in Web App Builder. Again, all those hyperlinks and things are configured in your web map, so you don't lose any of that functionality per se. So that is the basics, I think, of everything I have in my Web App Builder app. I could add some links up top. One thing I was going to show is a lot of folks have a bookmark app. I could create that, and also I've seen a lot like Shasta County, I think, has one. Maybe Reading does an About Us widget to kind of, or about the app to kind of share what the app's all about. I can do those in Experience Builder as well. If I go out of live view, I do have a bookmark app available to me in Experience Builder. So I can load that in, and that can be configured to be custom bookmarks. You can change the design of them, and you can also configure them against your web map. So if you want it to just display the bookmarks that you already have set in your web map, you can tell it to do so, and then it will pre-populate those bookmarks from your web map. So I happen to have a few locations bookmarked already, and in a couple seconds I've kind of configured that bookmark app to hit some bookmarks. So if I click on that now and I go Summit City, it'll zoom over to my preset bookmark, government camp, Windsor Estates, here at the Civic Center where I'm at now, and Shasta Gateway Industrial Park is just a few examples. So bookmark app is working. The other was like an About Us widget. They don't have a true About widget per se, but you can use these cards. So they have a widget called a card, and you can actually drag that into your widget controller, widen it out because I'm getting a lot of widgets now. And you can configure this card. It really is just a card. It's just that. You can resize it. So if you wanted it to be a little bigger as an About Us kind of page, you can size it up. You can add an image. You can change its style. So if this were About Us page, I can plug in some default language about my app and how to use it, put in the city logo, things of that nature. I can also change the widget icon. So if I click on the widget itself, you notice I can change the actual look of the widget, but I can change its icon as well. Let me remind myself when I do that. Here, so up next to the widget controller, I can go in and say, okay, I want to select from these default icons, or I can add my own. And I can go into, I went and saved the About Us icon, sorry. And I can plug in that icon to use in this app. So did that not change? Somehow that didn't change. Maybe I need to close it. So that should have changed it, but I guess maybe I need to change it here. Well, I would thought that change it, but apparently it's not changing that icon. But either way, that's the gist of that. I won't spend too much time on that. So the biggest thing here that I also wanted to highlight was that you can configure these things for mobile. So I've got my widgets all pretty well set here. I think I've pretty well matched the functionality of my existing app. I've got my tools and things. It looks like maybe I've gotten a locate tool and a full screen tool that I haven't done in my my map tools. So I'll go back to my map here, and I can turn on the locate and the full screen. So put those buttons back on the map here to make it match what I have existing. And I think I'm pretty well set on the desktop app. So I'm going to save that. And then I'm just going to click back to my fixed panel so I can kind of recenter this thing and show you the mobile views. So, well, before I go to mobile view, let me just say this. City of Reading, myself, we do have one more additional widget that we use called the screening widget, which is kind of a nice parcel report tool that we created. I know Reading has this, and I'm sure others are using this widget, but it's kind of a nice widget where you can drill down through some property information and you can pull in additional detail about a property. And so that widget, even though I've got it named parcel report, is actually called the screening widget. If I go into the widget gallery for Web App Builder, I can see that the screening widget, well, it's there. So that's that same icon that you see for our parcel report. And that's the widget we're using for our parcel report tool. That widget has not yet been migrated to Web App Builder or to Experience Builder. So that is one limitation that I think Experience Builder still has. And I was going to share here. This is the, oh, excuse me, let me share this screen. I think it's staying with the other screen. So this is the functionality matrix between Web App Builder and Experience Builder. Are you guys seeing that? It's kind of a list of widgets.
Yep, see it.
Yeah, so you can see that the screening widget is actually to be determined. So I was going to mention this to Reading and to other folks who might be using this. If you use a certain widget regularly and it's not planned to be migrated, it's something you might want to report to Esri as an idea or something that is valuable to you, because they do listen to their user community. So you can see which widgets here are planned to be migrated, which ones are already available in Experience Builder, and ones that are not planned. And so I also have this link to ArcGIS Ideas. So this is the ArcGIS Ideas link for Esri to go submit an idea to Esri to migrate an app or something of that nature. So if you have an idea, that's a great place to report it so that we can get these widgets moved over, and if they're valuable to us, that they get migrated. So at least it's not planned, but it's just to be determined. So that's about the only piece that's not functioning in this app, but that really is a pretty unique tool for parcel reporting. So back to my Experience Builder. Let me get that, make sure that's shared. Are you guys seeing my Experience Builder here? Okay.
Yep.
So I've configured the desktop app, but I need to configure mobile. So Experience Builder has this nice toolbar here that allows you to switch between the view for medium-sized screens and small screens. So I would kind of akin this to a desktop, a tablet, and a mobile device, right? A smartphone. So you can see that when I switch my app that I just created to a smartphone, it doesn't really look real good, right? It doesn't function. You can't see the widgets. And same with the tablet view. It's not exactly real well built for a tablet. So this is where I can customize these per device. So rather than go through each of these, I'm going to focus on the smartphone one and just kind of quickly show how you can customize this. So it provides this nice custom or auto. So if I click auto, it's going to automatically sync this mobile view to my desktop view or to my primary view, which is really my desktop view that I just configured. I can click OK on this, but it's already doing that. So I'm not going to click OK. This is maybe if you messed up and you just want to sync it back to your main desktop view. But if you click custom, then you're saying, okay, from this point forward, anything I add to my desktop view will not necessarily be added to my mobile view, and I will have to configure it separately. And so that's what we're going to do here now, is we're going to make this custom. And you can see that my widgets here don't look right? They're overprinting the header. If I go back to desktop, it still looks good. It looks great on desktop, but it just doesn't work on mobile. So I can actually take this whole widget controller and I can do what's called move it to the pending list. And so it's kind of strange because I don't know that, to me, that's necessarily super intuitive. But it's because the way this app builder works, when you move to pending, if you go to your widgets, you can see what's pending and what's not. And so this just means that, okay, everything I have pending means that this widget exists somewhere on one of my other views, but it is not on this view. And so I moved that widget controller to pending, and yet it's still on my desktop app, right? So if I go back to mobile, that widget controller is just kind of set aside almost for this view, right? So that's kind of how I would think of pending, is I move that widget controller off of this view and it's just used on a different view. And now I can say, well, I want to actually, I don't want to use a widget controller for my mobile view. You could have it float out here, but I'm actually going to show something a little different. I'm going to go for my mobile view. I'm going to go back to my widget controller, add a new one. And I guess I could do it from here just to show it. You can actually drag it from your pending. You could, because if you don't want to reconfigure it, you can duplicate it. And then you can move that back to pending. So now I have this new widget controller that if I go back to my page view, it's now widget controller 2. So I might want to rename this mobile, just for the sake of understanding where that widget exists. Kind of helps a little bit. And so you can see, well, I still run out of screen real estate. I'm going to put this actually down below, and I'm going to make some choices of maybe some widgets that I don't necessarily need if they don't fit. And so you're probably not doing much printing from your smartphone. I'm going to remove that. I think the share widget is nice. Bookmark's pretty nice. Draw might be nice, but if I really had to get rid of one, I might remove that. But I think it'll be okay for now. And I can kind of design this custom for a mobile view. So maybe in this case, sorry that it's kind of popping up some things, but if I'm clicking on my widget controller here, I could like change these icons to round. Maybe that looks a little better on mobile. I could make these smaller. So this is again from the content page on the side. Anytime you interact with a widget, you're interacting on this content panel. You can change its spacing, so you can really dial this in. And again, you're not affecting that desktop view. So if I go back up to my desktop view, it still looks like this on the desktop. And now my widgets are down here. They function for mobile already. I don't really have to configure them any different. In mobile, they will work fairly well. This title doesn't really work. So I might just, for mobile view, take out the word Shasta Lake. I could even change its size. Oh, and actually, wait, shouldn't do that, right? Because I just changed it in my desktop view. Just kind of wanted to show that. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to move this to pending. And I'm going to go back to my insert widgets and insert text. And now this text is my title for my mobile. I could have done the same thing where I duplicated that and then deleted or moved the other one to pending just so I didn't have to reconfigure the sizing on this and the color and such. But it's not too difficult, so I'll just kind of walk through it here. Maybe I want it bold. No, I like it not bold. And you can kind of mess with its placement on mobile and such. It gives you these nice tools to kind of center things and such. So that's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it kind of illustrates, you know, how you might change things. Again, if I wanted to change this, I'd move it to pending and add a new image for my mobile. So I'm going to move that to pending, add a new image, make it maybe a smaller logo. I can use the same logo, but I'm just showing how it would display on mobile. And maybe I want that to align to always be full height. So that kind of save that. That kind of shows the mobile configuration. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to preview this guy. Make sure that I'm sharing my preview. Yes, okay. And so here we are. We have kind of a published app. My splash screen's working. This is my desktop view. So maybe I don't like a lot about this. I might change the title to be a little more centered. I'd probably shrink down the header a little bit, shrink my search bar down a little bit. But that is the basic functionality is there. These tools work. I can resize these, so I could do this within the app, or I can do this as part of the interface. Again, legend refreshes as it needs to. So this is all pretty well functioning. If I shrink this down just for the sake of viewing in a presentation, as I go from my desktop view to my mobile view, it then creates that responsive design. You can see my subtitle didn't get adjusted, so I could delete that for mobile view, just move it to pending list, or I could create that as a separate size and spacing for my mobile view. So I can do that real quick. Go back to my design view, and maybe I want to just go and click on the text here. So there's that text, right? My subheader. And I'm going to go ahead and move that to the pending list for mobile so that it just doesn't show on my mobile view. Again, desktop still shows it. Mobile view removes it. So you can save that. So the key is really move to pending list and using this custom versus auto tool for your different design views. And real quick, back to my presentation, I'll just show that slide. So we kind of talked about mobile optimization. You want to use custom mode. You want to add your widget to the pending list, and then you can change your widget size and positioning per device size. So we kind of solved that in the demo. I have a little more I could show, but we're running a little short on time. We've got about, I don't know, 15 minutes. I was going to open the floor a little bit, see if there's any questions, and then go from there.
Devon, have you, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I know it's coming, but have you looked at it all about what's been on the development front for Experience Builder Developer Edition, or can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, it's a great question. So let me give some context to the group. If I go to City of Redding's, and I'll make sure my sharing's updated here if it's not, but if I go to City of Redding's website, go to their maps, go to their map viewer, and it looks like it is sharing exactly what I'm seeing. So you should be seeing Redding's map now, right, Steve?
Yep.
Steve has some custom widgets plugged in here. So this find tool is not a default out of the box web app builder tool. It's a custom tool developed by a developer. And so you can actually download Experience Builder Developer Edition in the same way that you would Web App Builder Developer Edition, and you can plug in these custom apps. I think that's about the only one you have that's custom. I think your base map might be a little enhanced, but I believe they're coming out with this fairly shortly. So, so I do follow the developer forum for Experience Builder, and that is this link here. And I'll put these links in the chat, but so far, this community, they're developing these custom widgets, and so far they have an enhanced locate widget, an enhanced print widget, which gives you some additional functionality, an enhanced feature panel widget, which is really neat. So this is the same developer that developed those widgets for Web App Builder, and he's now developing those widgets for Experience Builder. And so he's really close to having that search widget done. He's got the enhanced locate widget, which is really nice. And we're probably, I would say, less than 6 months away from this matching in parity to Web App Builder in terms of some of the developer tools that are coming out. So it's come a long way. And I think soon enough, it might be time for all of us to think about moving these apps, including my own, into Experience Builder. So that's the developer tools. What else did I want to show? If there's not other questions, I was going to show a couple other things that I have. Let me think about the best way to get back to where I want to be. If I go to the my content tab in my organization, I'm working on this Park Finder experience. And if I edit this, so this is a kind of a cool, just out of the box tool that I found somebody else who had built it, and I just kind of configured it for this Park Finder. But if I go to live view, it's a pretty simple app. It gives you a little about how to use the app, and then presents you with a list of all of our parks. And so this would kind of be a Park Finder tool for mobile or for desktop. And it gives you an alphabetized list of our parks, lists whether they're, and this is built on, Naomi did a really great story map for Park Finder, and we're going to use that as probably a website that we then link this Park Finder to as an additional tool. So Naomi, I haven't forgot about the things you've built for us. You did a great job as an intern here and built a really nice story map. And so just really trying to dial that in and really make it a whole product that we could really replace our website. So this is a piece of that. And so really simple, just kind of list. And some of these pictures Naomi actually took. And so you could click on a certain park you might be interested in. It would zoom to it, pretty simple functionality. You click on details and it pulls the information directly from the pop-up and gives you things like directions and what amenities are available at that park. So I'm actually using arcade scripts against the attribute table to only pull in what facilities exist on this park. If I go to a different park, it only pulls in what amenities exist for that park. If I zoom in, I'm using some of Naomi's custom base map features that she did. I've got some additional symbology here that I kind of simplified what Naomi did. She did a really robust park detail, but I kind of simplified it for this Park Finder and show the trees, drinking fountain, play structures, and picnic tables only. And you can toggle through these parks. It'll zoom to it, or you can go back to the list and click on a particular park and zoom to it and so on, see its details, same kind of interface, zoom in and see amenities and things. So I'm kind of working on that app. That's a web app, experience builder app. Have it configured for mobile as well, so it changes completely in mobile view. Same functionality, but you really have to dial in these lists and things to function nicely for mobile and work well. So yeah, it's just another example of what you can do with Experience Builder. I'll show, if I go back to my Experience Builder page, these are all the Experience Builder apps that I've built, but when you create new, I showed you this screen where it has all these different templates. You can actually go to ArcGIS Online and you can pull templates that others have used. So that's actually where I got this map view Park Finder. I used this map view that was like a City of San Diego, I think, restaurant finder. It's kind of the beginning of a restaurant sort of app. And I just used that as my template. But there's just a ton of these, City Explorer. This is like a whole website you could create. It gives you this kind of default template of how you could explore items, and then you could go to different views about them. And I think about NorthStateGIS and our webpage, and some of these things could be used to replace that. They have the Living Atlas, so if you want Living Atlas Experience Builder apps, you can look at those. This is a Place Explorer that I thought about using for our Park Finder. Again, really simple. It was similar to the one that I showed, but it kind of has categories and things, and you can click through those and then see details about them. So just a ton of templates out there that you can then create and then build and add your own maps to. So a lot of opportunity. So with that, I think that's about all I had. I'll paste a couple of those links in the chat. And yeah, if there's not other questions, I don't know if anybody has questions, but.
Devon, I was going to also show you, I was going to touch on some of the functionality of Experience Builder. If we've only migrated one of our apps over to Experience Builder, or Wildfire Viewer, but there was talk with staff about adding some functionality into it. And my analyst here in-house, Dave, reached out to Esri to see if that functionality exists, and we were able to integrate a a live feed from a social media site into our
Yeah.
into
Oh yeah. Let's go look at that.
our public information map. And so it's really amazing, like how configurable stuff like that is. So if like you go to the news feed, and then you can get a feed from a social media site. So yeah, it's Experience Builder is pretty impressive.
Is there a widget to put that in there, Steve?
That's
The
it.
live feed?
You'll have to you'd have to talk with Dave, but I think that was probably some form of like a text box, and then he embedded it using like either HTML or an iframe that we got from Esri.
Okay.
So you might have to do like a card or something similar.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting. I mean, I could blow this up and show you real quick. I could take out this entire widget controller. I'll do this just a really quick and dirty thing here, but I could change my map frame. This is kind of how your app's designed. So I can change this map frame. I can create a little fixed panel over here. So if I go and let's see, fixed panels are down here. So add a fixed panel. I can put that in here. I can actually use a, let's see, I think it's like a view controller, placeholder view navigation. So you put this view navigation up here, give it a quick design. I'll leave that there for now. You can add a section on top of your fixed panel. And so this section allows you to create these views. And now you notice it defaulted to one view. The view controller shows that one view. And so I could rename this to layers, and then I could create a new view that is my social. And this widget controller then becomes your menu navigation. And so when I am on this section, I can say this is my layers section, right? So I can add a widget. Oops, let's do this really quick and dirty, but I can add a map layers widget to that section, configure it against my map, and then when I go over to social, I'm back to my fixed panel, and I can add another text box or something here, where maybe that's the card, and then it has the information for the social media iframe or whatever. Maybe it's not a card, or maybe I think there's a different one here that would make more sense. Probably just a fixed panel or something, but then that's my navigation. I mean, that's how you're switching between different views. And so I can, in this sections, I can add other views of what's the other, like layer list and legend, right? So one could be my legend and so on. And then I can move these around, and they update the view controller. And so it's really kind of interesting how you can design these things. It's so flexible.
So Devon, a popular story map is like the old classic tabbed story map where you click on the tabs and it goes to either maps or embedded content from other websites. Is that kind of essentially how you would build out almost like a that style of story map?
Exactly. You could take this whole thing across your top, and this could be hitting. You could have embedded apps in each of these, right? And have this become a whole dashboard almost, right? I mean, it's incredible.
And then that fixed page, you would just make it fill the whole page, or
you could exactly. You put a fixed panel across the whole thing. You don't even put a map in if you don't want it,
right?
And you just embed your app in there, or you design a whole app. Like maybe one is your wildfire viewer. Well, you're just plugging in your wildfire viewer into that tab. And like here, I don't have a legend, so if I go in and just put a legend in here, I'm on this view, so it's one view of many.
Do you have to do a fixed tab or like a space in order to embed, or like say if you wanted to hyperlink a map to that legend button? I mean,
then I think you would just create the view, and then in the view you would add a new map. And so, well, you'd either add the map in here and point it to your web map, or if you had a whole app, I think you would just, there's probably something where you would just embed. I'd have to think about that.
Sorry, it's a project that I'm looking to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And quick and dirty would just be to use the existing story map to do something like that, but it'd be nice to be able to do it in an experience builder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'll have to think about, I think I can figure that out in short order. I didn't prepare that, but I think I could figure that out in short order. It'd be really cool to do like a sort of toggle between view here. So,
hey, Devon, I know we've hit our time, but
yeah.
Either Deshane or Chong from W Beatty asked if you can embed a map into the fixed pane, allowing you to rotate between completely different maps with tabs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what we're talking about. I think you can. I'd have to search that, and maybe I can follow up with the group just so I don't take up everybody's time, but I'm pretty confident that I could figure out how to embed an entire app in here. Let's see.
I think short answer to you guys at W Beatty is
right there, embed.
It can be done, but we haven't done it yet.
There you go. So a fixed panel, you can add embed right there, and this could take up the whole map space, and then just put in embed code from your other app.
Well, and then is that embed box tied to a button, or how do you?
It can be. So I did this section, right? You got to build a section. So
okay.
So let's see here. Where am I now? I'm on that layer. Let's see here. Section right there. So let me add a new view. Rename to embedded. Put that in the section, right? See, so it kind of drops into that section.
Yes.
And then now if this was taking up my whole panel, of course, that would be ideal in what we were talking about there. But there's you put in your code or your URL in there. And now when I go live view, let me get back to my fixed panel so it kind of centers this. My legend's there, my layer's there, my social was there. I didn't configure it. There's my embed on that panel, right? So each of these could be, if I had a URL code, this could take up a whole screen. Each of these could be a different embedded map. And so really this just is driven by, and that's the key, and I had to figure this out too, was what's called a view navigation down here. That's what is up here as your toolbar. And then a section, because if I don't configure this against it, it links to a section. That's how this works. So if I don't link it to a section, it doesn't do anything. But and then put in a section on top of your fixed panel. And that section then has all these different views that you can create as many as you want. And those link to that view navigation.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, so that was a really big find for me, was kind of figuring out these view navigations versus and the sections that link to them.
That's great. Thank you so much, Devon. That was a really good one. Thank you, Devon, for the demo today. And then if anyone has any questions or follow up, please feel free to email myself or shoot Devon an email regarding his knowledge fair session.